It then came to my experiments, and I think I did quite a lot of experiments for this unit. At first I decided to ink, you can see it there. I decided to ink some different patterns on here and put them in Photoshop and change the colours and the saturations and hues and everything to create some different patterns that could be used for the beginning of my CD cover. And for that I just inked them up and changed things and overlapped them and layered them and changed things like multiply and colour dodge and things like this on Photoshop. And then after that I painted 4 A4 sheets into watercolour and cut them into kind of like A7 sizes and scanned them into Photoshop and changed the levels, which is all of these. And I did this so I could again change the levels and hues and things like that, and I will show you. I put these onto Photoshop and had a mess around with different like layouts and techniques and things like this, and I came up with one that looked like this with the spaces in it. That was done using the vector mask tool and things like this. And I also came up with, if I layered them over the top of each other and multiplied them and then got a tiny rubber and rubbed like little swirls out of them, they created a really nice pattern which is underneath the one I've just shown you. I then also used these pieces again and made some of them duller, some of them more saturated, and laid them on top of each other, used multiply again, and then cut bits out of them so they kind of like peeped through. And then after that I grabbed them again and overlaid them over each other like I did in the previous one and rubbed little bits out, but instead of having them small and on like a grey background, I decided to make them bigger and put them onto A3. So you can see those ones there. And those were the ones I created out of that. I then saw on a David Lynch cover, which I think was done by Vaughan Oliver, that they use light to create circles, like light scribing I think it's called, or photo light, I can't remember what it is. But I'd seen that and I was interested in doing it. I'd experimented at home before with doing stuff like that, but never for this unit. So I took the studio from school and borrowed that for a little bit and found a torch that my teacher had got, and it was they had 2 settings, so one was just a normal light, but then the other was like it'd flash on and off all the time. So I used that and asked one of my friends to help me, and she stood in the middle of the studio whilst I put my camera on to different settings and shutter speeds, and I ran around with the flashing one all around her, and I ended up with an image that looked like this. So you can see that all the dots were different, which I thought had taken inspiration from the David Lynch cover by Vaughan Oliver, but I used it in my own way. So I expanded on what he'd done and made it into like kind of like blocks of light. And I also changed the hue on that as well to make it a bit more greener, so the colours weren't just grey and a bit dull like that. I then did this around a chair as well, which gave me the opportunity to, this is just a normal light scribe one with the full light instead of the flashing, and there again you've got the flashing light around the chair. I then I'd taken a picture of my friend for my photography unit, not meaning for it to be part of my graphics, and it ended up being part of my graphics after I'd taken the picture and got rid of parts of her face, so it was kind of like cracked and distorted in a way. And then I'd taken those images that I'd done of the chairs, made them to a big A3 poster, and inverted them and printed them out and painted on them and things like that. So I inverted them, to experiment with different things, and I used cyanotype, which is a process I hadn't used before, and I found it to be one of the best things I've done. So I did that, and I came up with this, and this was after leaving it in the light for 15 minutes. After that one I decided that it needed a bit more time, and maybe that image wasn't the best image that I could have used, but I'm glad that I experimented with that piece and I did things with that I wouldn't have usually done.